Time to jump back into the Warhammer World Championship with a series that was recommended to me by one of the tournament organizers, Moors. This is Roflan Buldiga versus Akin, and it's going to be Norsca versus Warriors of Chaos to start. Apologies for my absence this week. This is actually my second time recording this. I recorded this battle, the subsequent battles, potentially, and many more. Yeah, did a whole big recording session, couple hours, and then realized after the fact that, yeah, due to a Windows update, my microphone settings were all screwed up and the audio was absolutely unsalvageable, which is great. Yeah, and that happened to be the only time that I had available to actually record videos for this week, so we saw a little bit of an extended absence. My apologies for that, but I'm going to make it up to you guys by showing you this absolute banger of a series. We're going to start today with two very cool factions, yeah, equally chaotic and very well matched against each other. For Norsca, we've got Horsemen and Horse Masters on that flank, Ice Wolves here, and then similar out on this flank as well with Horse Masters, Riders of the Mighty Serpent, Wulfric on the Mammoth leading the way. We've got some Bear Men. Very nice mid-tier infantry for Norsca, and a Shaman Sorcerer of Metal with Searing Doom, Plague of Rust, and Final Transmutation. As for the Warriors of Chaos, going to be led by Azazel with the yeah, Knights of Immolation. We've got Steercar as well, Poison Warhounds, and some Knights of Slanesh with Knights of Khorne on the opposite side. Marauders up front, a couple of Forsaken, and yeah, let's get things rolling. Norsca with a much more mobile force is going to get caught in a Phantasmagoria. Nice little pin down here. Try and get an engagement with the Knights of Immolation. Regiment of Renown Doom Knights charging into the Ice Wolves here. Going to get a nice engagement there. Should be pretty cost effective. Poison Warhounds also run into the Riders of the Mighty Serpent along with Azazel. Should be quite a bit of damage. Yeah, the Hounds do rout, though, as Wulfric the Wanderer comes in with a nice rear charge on the Mammoth. Steercar over here with the Khorne Knights against these Kurgan Horsemen. We're mixed in here as well. Going to be trading decently cost-effective considering how cheap they are, but yeah, looks like Roflan's going to try and pull them away here. Get to an engagement that's maybe more favorable. Maybe get them into the Knights of Immolation here. Hard to say. Wulfric on Zazel, Hunter of Champions, being countered nicely with that Temptator. Little Plague of Rust here as well on the Knights of Immolation. Overcast is going to put them down to only 60 armor. Pretty good. Definitely will take a lot more damage from those javelins, but the Knights of Slanesh, they're going to pressure the javelins away perhaps here. Yeah, not a lot of contact during that uptime. Wulfric also gets charged by Steercar here, who is on the steed, not the demonic steed, the undemonic steed, although it is still pretty demonic looking if you ask me. But that does mean he doesn't have the most armor in the world. Still pretty good speed, but non-AP damage. Unlike Azazel, of course, who has nice AP damage. Going to charge on in 2v1. Wulfric probably wants none of that smoke. Also getting pelted by horsemen here. Those javelins not great. But nice rear charge into the Slanesh Knights. The rest of the battlefield's basically just been Bearmen and Marauders and Forsaken slugging it out. So we're not missing too much there. We're going to keep the focus mostly here on this big high-value engagement in the center as Wulfric continues to tango with the elements of the Warriors here. Yeah, the Knights of Immolation on a surround 2v1 versus the single entities. Really bad engagement right now. A little bit of lore of boats. I missed one earlier that actually did some pretty good damage. That one will chip off some of the Marauders there. Not do too much, but meanwhile, the Khorne Horsemen out in the open field kind of just getting dragged down by javelins after they were relatively successful. Yeah, the Slanesh Knights also suffering a similar fate. The Ice Wolves, the javelins, just kind of wearing them down over time, kiting them out here. And the Shaman Sorcerer also staying away from that fight for the time being. But the Bearmen are slowly prevailing over their base Marauder counterparts, even winning out against the Forsaken likewise. But a huge Overcast Final Transmutation, going to be absolutely devastating. Really just nuking this whole pocket here. Hits Steercar, hits Azazel. Steercar at least somewhat able to get out of that area of effect. Little Hunter of Champions on Azazel as well as Wulfric dives back in. He's going to throw in the Hounds, but Azazel's able to get back up in the air before the Ice Wolves arrive. Marauder Bearmen also holding strong. It is Conquest. No one's captured the objective yet. But let's see what they can do here. Perhaps will come into play. Horsemen and Horse Masters reforming ranks, trying to get Good firing solution on probably Azazel himself. Relatively low armor, but he's very tricky to hit because he's so small and change elevation very quickly, so javelins aren't going to have the best time with their accuracy here. But let's see, he's got Demon Shield active right now anyway, prevent any damage, and Wolfric gets taken out there, officially routed. And with these high-speed Slaanesh units, I doubt he'll be able to come back to fight in any meaningful way. But we'll see. Knights of Khorne going to get a nice charge in here. Knights of Immolation as well, despite the Plague of Rust, are going to continue to pursue that Overcast Plague of Rust. Won't do a ton, honestly, on them until I get a little bit more tired. Steercar, on the other hand, is right within that range where he really will get significantly affected by a Plague of Rust, especially Overcast, just dumping basically his entire armor profile at this point, now that he's getting a little bit tired. But regardless, nice Searing Doom here. Knights of Immolation do end up getting kind of surrounded a little bit here and hit by a lot of different stuff. A bunch of units just kind of teaming up to try and throw all their damage at them. And it's proving relatively effective, but Norsca definitely on the ropes. They're mostly limited to just the Marauder Horsemen now. The Shaman Sorcerer, of course, staying alive. And quite a few Bearmen. The Bearmen are quite healthy. That Immune Psychology coming in absolutely clutch right now. The Terror of Azazel is not a factor here. The Bearmen are continuing to just hang in the fight, keep their leadership up. Unlike base Marauders or Champions also, do they have Immune Psychology? I actually forget right now. So let me check for me. Yes, but regardless, the Bearmen, you know, nice, relatively cheap mid-tier as far as Norscan infantry goes. Yeah, that Immune Psychology, the extra health also goes a really long way, but potential disaster here as Steercar catches Shaman Sorcerer of Metal. Keen here lurking, trying to get whatever he can done. Javelins are running relatively low on ammo, but that was a pretty good volley on Steercar right there. Actually did quite a bit of HP damage. Another really nice volley makes contact as he kind of gets caught out in the middle of all these units. Forsaken are going to provide a little bit of screening support here, though, and get some of those horsemen away. Give Steercar a little bit of space to work with. Knights of Immolation also took quite a bit of damage while chasing, but they have been able to get a lot of these horsemen down. You can see this unit is gone. Azazel and Steercar working together to take this unit out. Quite a bit of damage being done there. Knights of Immolation in pursuit of the Riders of the Mighty Serpent. So, yeah, Roflan looking like his mobility is going to get taken out here. The Warriors kind of splitting everything up and getting better individual engagements where their unit's quality can shine through against Norskins. Terror also becoming a factor, certainly, especially like mid-tier Horsemasters. This is a unit that's really painful to get Terror routed, considering their relatively increased costs, but at least they've been able to use all their javelins and have paid for themselves, so all good at the end of the day there. But yeah, the Warriors Horsemen able to basically win out despite having a lot less numbers of mobility than Norsca. But Riders of the Mighty Serpent also doing whatever they can at this late stage to try and chase routing units, but Azazel gets these two right on the edge of the map here and probably gets both of them just straight off the side. Looks like this one is going to rally just in time to maybe get one more volley off. I think they literally only have one more volley, but nope, as soon as that other horseman routes, they are done. Meanwhile, the Bearmen have seized the objective, and slowly Norsca is going to be ticking up on the victory count. But let's see, Warriors rallying units back together. Norsca also getting their units ready to defend on the point. Bearmen and the Shaman Sorcerer are pretty much it right now. There's no other horsemen really left. One very tattered Horsemaster here, but we're going to fast forward now as Norsca sets up to defend. And yeah, Warriors of Chaos are going to set up to potentially try and attack, but eventually Warriors decide, you know what, let's rest. And they're going to try and do some attacks here. Ooh, a little Phantasmagoria there. Azazel actually jumps in. Maybe not so much resting happening. A little final transmutation. And Azazel takes huge amount of damage. Potentially actually backbreaking here. We'll see. It was literally just Bearmen defending and the Shaman Sorcerer, who himself gets routed in melee combat. I think he got terrified like probably just before that went off, but the spell still goes off, does huge damage to Steercar, and now they're within range where a Plague of Rust, once again, right before he gets routed by the Knights of Immolation. Yeah, I mean, that's going to put Steercar down to only 15 armor. Upgraded Plague of Rust just absolutely making him extremely vulnerable to the weapon strength of the Bearmen, even though they are lowly shield and hand weapon infantry. Got decent enough weapon strength, nothing too crazy, but when they're able to circle beat a single entity like this, Steercar having trouble getting away too. Let's keep his health bar up and see if he actually takes any hits or if the pursuit behavior is, yeah, does not allow the Bearmen to actually do any attack animations. Maybe a couple here and there. But Zazel also hanging out up in the sky. Knights of Immolation, making sure the Horsemasters do not come back. Question is, he actually get, I think he did, yeah, it looks like he got the Shaman Sorcerer off the field on that far side, so it's going to be just basically if the single entities can win in honest combat. But let's fast forward, and I think now is when the rest happens. Yes, okay. Yeah, the Marauder Bearmen are going to go take up position in the trees here for this rest phase, and they control the objective. They're close enough they can run to the objective should Warriors try and cap it. But honestly, the Warriors only have Steercar who can cap the objective, and so their best bet is just to rest here and then try and actually just win in combat. Yeah, you can see Steercar is very slowly going to cap this objective. Probably not even fast enough to win. But Slanesh, or Warriors rather, realizing this, they're going to charge on in. Another Phantasmagoria locks these Bearmen down so the one unit can just watch only in horror as their friends are absolutely slaughtered by Azazel and the Knights of Immolation here in the trees. And they immediately move on to the next unit here. Very smart to just break them all individually rather than trying to, yeah, just fight them all together. Still got this one holding the objective. 67 unit models, about 6,000 HP, just over. Let's see what they can do. This is the final stand of Norsca against Azazel. Oh yeah, beautiful sunset charge here. Right into the Bearmen who, you know, men of the land here, almost look like they could be blending into the terrain. Will they be able to hold out against the much more supernatural forces of the Warriors of Chaos? Keep the health bars out. Demon Shield is up, as you can see there. Knights of Immolation looking absolutely spectacular. One of the best looking unit models in the game, in my opinion. Love the Tzeentch Knights in general. Zazel charging. Can he do it? See Steercar actually in the rear there. Got caught up in the Bearmen. Briefly came back from routing. Knights of Immolation. Yeah, looks like they dropped a unit model there. Are they still on the field? It looks like they are. But not enough time. The tickets ticked up just barely in time. Probably another, you know, few seconds there. And I don't know, maybe the Bearmen actually hold it. There's a chance they can actually win. But regardless, we don't get to find out because the tickets win it for Norsca. He not quite having quite enough time to win that engagement there. And ultimately, the Bearmen were able to carry the victory at the end there. That immune to psychology and extra HP, like I said, just coming absolutely clutch. Yeah, Wulfric the Wanderer gets beat up pretty bad for the mammoth cost, especially. Not pay for himself, but definitely Shaman Sorcerer of Metal makes up for it. Him on the horse with just 3 spells, relatively cheap, almost, you know, like 2 3/4 thousand damage value. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, honestly. The Bearmen, yeah, good raw value on a couple of them as well. Nice to see there. Kurgan Horseman got beat up a little bit, got a decently cost-effective engagement initially against the Knights, who themselves were fairly well limited. Mobile forces of Norsca doing some pretty nice work. Yeah, the Horse Masters at 1,000 particular, pretty good stuff. Ice Wolves also, one of them performed quite nicely. And Akin, I mean, honestly, respectable performance for him. Definitely good game. Ultimately, just wasn't quite able to win out there at the end. But really like the pick of the Knights of Immolation here. The flaming magic damage, both are applicable. Norsca has both weakness to fire and physical resistance, so nice to have both of those. And that, you know, Regiment Renown, they don't have anti-large necessarily, or even AP, but you don't really need AP against Norsca most of the time. And just, yeah, the flaming magic damage, they're super great melee defense. The mobility really allows them to shine. The barrier also makes them pretty good at the counter skirmish. Like, even saw there in the late game, incredibly tattered, battered, still able to chase off some skirmish cavalry. So great job there. And then the one token Marauder Horseman for Ian also performs quite well. It's a tricky one for Warriors of Chaos because I almost want to say like more mobility, like cut the heavy knights and take more horsemen to contest mobility. But I do think Norsca has a slight edge in that like very fast mobility game, mostly because of Ice Wolves. You really don't have anything comparable for Warriors of Chaos. Like Poison Warhounds just aren't going to have the same quality level and be able to stand up in that same kind of pitched mobile engagement. But yeah, interesting battle, interesting matchup for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Be sure to stay tuned for the next battle in this series. We're going to go to game 2 to see if Akane can get even on the series or if Roflan can hold its ground. Stay tuned for that. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.